we have a very confusing and difficult time in the region. And of course, the role of Greece in the region and the importance of its ports is central to that. So what I want to ask you, first of all, perhaps you could give us some introductory words on what you see the current situation for Greece and the role of its ports.
Well, still in recent times, Greece remains the largest ship-owning nation in the world. The Greek ship owners control more than 20% of the world gross tonnage, more than 32% of the global oil tankers, 23% of the LNG carriers, and 25% of global bulk carriers. It's no exaggeration to say that Greek shipping it's an essential factor for the world economy to keep moving. So more or less, the Greek ship owner, the Greek shipping community has managed over the years to turn challenges to opportunities. We have a diversified fleet, as I've already mentioned, but particularly this time of period where everybody in the European Union is talking about energy diversification, Greek shipping can secure the energy needs, not only in terms of European Union, but also in terms of the global. So this is the case in terms of Greek shipping and how important it is to the, in order to secure the energy needs. In terms of ports, we're in a process of utilizing our 10 peripheral ports. It's obvious of their geopolitical and strategic role, especially the ports in the northern part of Greece, Alexandroupolis, Kavala, Thessaloniki. Actually, we're in the final stage in terms of proceeding the tender in Kavala. We're actually, at the present time, we do have a contractor, and the tender will be finalized by the first quarter of 2023. And also the tenders in Alexandroupolis, Igoumenitsa, and Heraklion will be finalized by next year. So we're in the process of upgrading our ports. Also, the port in Thessaloniki has managed to proceed investment more than 50 million euros. Dry ports in Bulgaria, cruising is booming, 250% more than last year. And most of the calls are home porting calls, which are very crucial in terms of the local economy and local society. So more or less, this is the overview in terms of shipping and how the recent government of Kyriakos Mitsotakis, we see the future of our ports.
How has Ukraine changed the picture? I mean, you know, everything that you said probably you could have said 2 years ago, but the situation is very different now. So how have things changed in light of what's happening in Ukraine?
Well, to be honest, the crisis in Ukraine, rather a Russian invasion in Ukraine, has rescheduled our priorities, also in shipping.
Yeah.
But our first priority was to secure the stability of shipping, mainly to preserve security of our seafarers. So we took action both domestically and at the international level, working with our partners in terms of IMO and the EU. So mainly that was our first priority. And also, the Russian invasion has, of course, direct effect in terms of an incredible increase in terms of fuel cost, which is consequence, of course, in terms of an increase in operational costs and, of course, global inflation upward trends.
Right. Of course. Um, One of the things that's emerged from the war in Ukraine is the application of a massive raft of sanctions against Russia. Very pointed sanctions against individuals, but also quite broad sanctions on trade. So how has that affected trade through Greek ports and your position in world trade?
Sanctions were imposed to individuals, uh, especially focused on, let's say, the political elite of Russian citizens. Visa restrictions, travel bans, financial restriction. Um, Greece, on the other hand, is taking part on the conversation that is being with regard to the European sanction against Russia. We need to send the right message to the aggression state, but on the other hand, we have to be very careful not to harm our economies and our societies more than that of the aggression states. This is a crucial factor that we need to take into account.
How do you do that, though? I mean, sanctions are what they are. How do you both apply them and protect yourself?
Yes, we need to ensure that, especially at global levels, more or less they are aligned in order to avoid distortions on regional regimes.
Right. And no matter how you work it out, there will be costs for Greek people. There will be complications and difficulties in terms of policy for the Greek government, but for the Greek people, there will be a cost of living blow, which will be hard for them to bear. How do you go about keeping the Greek people on side and making sure that they're as committed to the campaign to stop Russia in its tracks as
well, from the very beginning, we fully support Ukraine in many aspects and areas. But on the other hand, the recent government has actually subsidized Greek economy, Greek entrepreneurs, the Greek citizens. In 2022, we will invest more than 10 billion euros, substituting the Greek economy, the Greek entrepreneurs. So it is very vital that we will continue to do so, because we are facing, after all, a global economic issues, global increase in energy prices. So, but on the other hand, we are determined to continue to do so.
It's a global crisis, but it's felt locally. So for populations, they feel it. And certainly in the UK, I don't know to what extent it's true elsewhere, but certainly in the UK, people aren't clear that what they're confronting is a crisis, the bearing of which is part of their sacrifice to achieve the peace that we need.
Yeah, actually, in terms of GDP, Greece is, in terms of European Union, we are probably the first that we substitute the Greek people, the Greek economy, and we are determined to continue, of course, depending on our revenues. But fortunately, this year, tourism went very well, is going very well.
Yeah.
Shipping is continuing to perform well. So these are revenues, of course, for the Greek economy. But it's hard times.
Yeah. Every time I come to Greece, I'm not surprised in the least that tourism is doing well, because it's such a great place to come to. One of the really deep impacts of the war in Ukraine was the suspension of grain shipments through the Black Sea, through Odessa and out through the Dardanelles. What role, if any, was Greece able to play as a shipping nation in the resolution of that crisis, to the extent that it's been resolved?
Well, we support the European initiative. forming solidarity lanes just to ensure the export of grains from Ukraine, and especially the ports of Greece, especially the ports that are located in the northern part of Greece, Alexandroupolis, Kavala, Thessaloniki, has the capacity to transport goods, because, for example, Thessaloniki and Alexandroupolis are directly connected to the railway line, so it's very easy to transport goods. For example, in Thessaloniki, there were moved more than 500,000 tons of bulk products. In Kavala, 500,000 tons of agricultural products. So basically, due to their huge geopolitical and geostrategic role, and of course, because of their infrastructure, they can serve as a hub to transport the necessary grains to the more poorer countries.
Right. Okay, we should really touch on sustainability. I mean, the shipping uses about 3% of, it's responsible for about 3% of
Exactly.
global emissions, I believe. So it's not the biggest, but it is an important contributor. And of course, Greece is a big player in the shipping industry. So what should Greek shipping companies be doing? What is the government doing to make sure that those things are done?
Well, first of all, we are totally committed to the decarbonization of the global shipping industry. Our government is totally committed, and of course, we are in close contact with our allies, both in terms of IMO and, of course, in the European Union. One of the main challenges that shipping will face in the near future is the production of safe, alternative, non-fossil fuels, and of course their technology. Neither of these are yet in progress, but another also issue is that we managed during the pandemic to have the flow chain, the chains flowing, and of course we confront issues such as the repatriation of the crews, and of course one of the main, to my point of view, probably the biggest challenge that shipping will face in the future is the shortage of engine and cabin officers. So we need to attract young people to the industry. Our government is in the process of reforming our maritime education system in order to attract qualified officers in the industry. The International Chamber of Shipping has estimated that there will be a shortage by 2028, more than 80,000 officers. 80,000 officers. So we have a lot of job to do. And what differentiates, I would say, Greek ship owners from the rest is that, as I have mentioned earlier, Greek ship owner has managed to, first of all, diversify their fleet. So the Greek shipping community is everywhere these days. Also, we do have a great expertise. In other words, shipping is in our DNA. But we're optimistic that, again, we will transform challenges to opportunities.
Excellent. Just briefly to finish off, I mean, you raised the epidemic, and it's funny that, I think it's one of the first times it's been mentioned today. Last year we talked about absolutely nothing else. But, other things have happened in the world that have caught our attention. Where is Greek shipping today, given what it went through during the pandemic? Is that now in the past, or are you still sorting out the after effects of that impact?
Well, as I've already told you, we're still first in the world. We are the biggest shipping nation in the world. We are totally committed to the new environmental rules, to the new environmental agenda. The average age of the Greek fleet is about 10 years old. I mean, it's extremely, let's say, a very young fleet.
Yeah.
We have differentiated our fleet. And of course, it's not only the ocean-going fleet. We do also have the ferry business, which also very crucial in terms of ensure the connectivity between the mainland and the islands. Greece has more than 110 inhabited islands. But the good news is that we've managed, and we managed to negotiate with the European Union, and we managed to get more than 175 millions in order to upgrade our ports, especially ports in the small Greek islands, and also we have managed to absorb money in order to proceed to the greening of our coastal fleet. So yes, Greece is, I would say, a pioneer in this stage in terms of greening our ferry business, and we are optimistic because we do have certain financial instruments, and also we have the appropriate framework to proceed.
Excellent. Well, that's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Please join me in thanking the Minister for his intervention. Thank you.
Thank you very much.